I'd say one perks or advantages of being a geospatial engineer is that you get to be a generalist. So you get to work not just like in GIS and the analytics space, but you sort of have knowledge on GIS, obviously as a base, but also on remote sensing, on things like web mapping and GIS programming.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the Geospatially Africa podcast, the podcast for the African geospatial community. My name is Opeyemi. Our guest today is Laura Mugeha. She is a geospatial engineer based in Africa. She was recently recognized as one of the 50 Geospatial Rising Stars 2021. Most of us in the geospatial industry already know her as the regional ambassador for YouthMappers in Africa. And in today's episode, she'll be speaking with us on what it takes to be a geospatial engineer and some of the tools that she works with and some of the data sets she handles. And we'll also talk about our experience with the youth mappers as well as our experience in the geospatial industry in Africa generally. I work with free and open source software and also OSM. So, if you would be interested or if you would like to know more about what it takes to be a geospatial engineer in Africa, then stay tuned with us and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hi, Laura. It's good to have you here with us today. I'm particularly excited to talk about some of your experiences as a geospatial engineer in Africa and how you got to start work in the sector, how you started, and where you are currently.
Hi, Ofevi. Thank you so much for extending an invite to join you today. My name is Laura Mugeha. I am a geospatial engineer by training and profession. So, for my undergraduate studies, I did bachelor's in science in geomatics engineering and geospatial information systems in a university here in Kenya. And while I was there, I had a chance to have a couple of academic internships where I practiced in a land surveying firm, in a non-governmental organization, and then even got a chance to work with a telecommunications company just after my undergrad. But while in uni, I developed an interest in using data for good, so working in the development sector, and ended up working for a social enterprise here in Nairobi called Kenya. So that's me in a nutshell. I say that I am a geospatial engineer, basing on what I did in uni and what I am currently doing and a career that I would like to build. And I am interested in data and the development sector, so basically using data for good, and currently work for an organization here in Kenya called Synergy.
Oh, beautiful. You were listed as one of the 50 Geospatial Rising Stars in 2020. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and I actually got to see some of the amazing things you're doing through that platform. Would you like to discuss that and how it felt being one of those stars?
Yeah, so the Geospatial World 50 Rising Stars initiative was something that an organization called the Geospatial World sort of came up with. And this is actually like their first inaugural list. So it's never been done before. And basically, what they are trying to do is to highlight the outstanding accomplishments of young individuals in the geospatial sector. So what happened is that they asked for nominations at a time like this last year. So basically sent out a form and asked people to nominate anyone who thinks should be on this list. I think in the world a lot of people are familiar with the Forbes list, which tends to sort of highlight the work of different people in different industries. So I think it's you can just say it's something like that, but now focusing in the geospatial and mapping sector. To be honest, when I was selected, I was shocked. It was a bit unexpected. But I was very excited about it. From the first day, like I got the notification about the nomination, and even just getting a chance to interact with um, the Geospatial World team and like as they were working on this. But I was even more excited when I saw the final list of, I'd say, the fellow rising stars and all the amazing work they were doing. So I was really happy to be featured because it sort of gave some sort of meaning to the work that I have been doing. Because from the nomination, a lot of the work that I do in the volunteering space with a number of communities um, is what was really highlighted. So I was very excited to see that there was value in that and that being noticed around the world. But also just getting a chance to read the other stories of the other rising stars was also motivating to see like how I can grow. And because one thing about the list is that it was very hard to find someone else who's like you. So like just getting a chance to see all these other different profiles and all the very different things that we are doing in the geospatial space was very inspiring and motivating at the end of the day.
Yeah, and one thing that just came to mind is like, what type of nomination? Like, do you have to know somebody, or somebody just nominated you randomly? Because you said something about the fact that it was um it was a shock to you.
Mhm.
So, do you know who nominated you, or like, does a number of people have to nominate you or something?
I'm not sure about their selection process, if they were looking like a minimum number of nominations or anything. But I guess it being anonymous, not anonymous in a way that when you're nominating someone, you do not submit your details, but once you're selected, you are not told that X and Y nominated you. So from my end, I actually do not know the person who nominated you, but it was very open to anyone. So basically, say, for example, if you have a colleague or a mentor, um, or anyone, even a friend within the geospatial space, then they had the ability to nominate you. But yeah, I also wish I knew if there is one person or more, or the people who actually nominated me, just to have a chance at least to say thank you for that. But also, I can remember at around the same time when these nominations were being done, which was, I think, such a time last year. The Women in Geospatial community was running like a mini initiative under this, where they basically asked anyone who'd like to be nominated to like fill in a form, and then basically someone would then nominate you if they have looked at your work and find it interesting and feel like you deserve to be listed uh, as part of this. So yeah, unfortunately, I don't know, but who nominated me, but I'm very thankful uh, for them believing in me and even taking the extra step to submit my details.
Yeah, and that's one awesome thing about the geospatial community, the sense of camaraderie, the sense of supporting each other
Mhm.
to achieve aims. And that's one thing I really love about this
Yeah.
industry. So back to your work as a geospatial engineer now. I'm always fascinated by geospatial engineers. I'm aiming to be one myself eventually when I finally am able to grab hold of what programming really is about. So, your job as a geospatial engineer, what's involved in that? What do you get to do? What types of platforms do you get to work with? Could you just give us a bit of an insight into that?
Yeah. So I'd say one perks or advantages of being a geospatial engineer is that you get to be a generalist. So you get to work not just like in GIS and the analytics space, but you sort of have knowledge on GIS, obviously as a base, but also on remote sensing, on things like web mapping and GIS programming. So, like, basically, you get to sort of work on very different sectors within the geospatial space. So that means you can put on very many hats on different occasions. But at the moment, for me, as I mentioned earlier, I work with an organization called Synergy, which is in the sanitation sector. And basically, I support teams within the organization to use data to support the decision making and all of that. So some of the data sets that I get to work with are mainly within the urban planning space. And but our organization also tends to work a bit on the agricultural side because of some of the products that the organization produces. So that also means from time to time I get to interact with a number of um, data sets in the agricultural space. And this might also be too general in a way, but if you like get down into it, then it really is like a wide range of options that are available. For example, I talk about like a project that I worked on this year, and we were basically looking at a number of soil properties. I got a chance to work with a dataset by an organization called ISTA, and basically it's that they developed continental data sets for the African region for soil properties. And this data was available as a cloud service, meaning I could only access it, or one of the options that I could access it was through Jupyter notebooks, which was interesting. It's something that I had just a chance to learn about, but I'd never actually used notebooks to access a data set and actually have my analysis done on the cloud on the fly. So that was interesting. But other than that, I also get a chance at work to develop a number of like dashboards for analytics and reporting purposes. So generally, I get a chance to like get down into it with like web mapping, literally develop sort of platforms on the web. Uh, but I'd say on a day-to-day basis, I get a chance just to work with GIS data and like use platforms or softwares like QGIS and GrossGIS. I think those are the ones that I use mostly, or I'd say consistently. But looking at it a long period of time, I get a chance to work with very many things. I get a chance to learn new platforms every day, just depending on what I'm trying to get at the end of it. If it's a map I'm trying to create, if it's something that needs to be accessed online. Yeah, I'd say that's a quick summary on some of the tools that I get to work with.
That sounds fun. And being a QGIS fan myself, I can sort of parallel some of the things I do also with that. So I guess I'm well on my way to being a geospatial engineer
Yeah,
then.
probably already there.
Yeah, and okay, so you also advocate for open data, and with the different data sets that
Mhm.
you work with. I know you were part of YouthMappers a
Yeah.
while back. Could you talk about that?
Yeah. So when it comes to open data, it's something that I'm really passionate about. I think when I think about even this year, the number of webinars and events that I've been able to participate in, I've mostly talked about open data, and generally it's just something that I got interested in because of a challenge that I faced. So when I was doing my undergraduate and I was working on my final year project. It was a project in the transport sector, where I developed like a transport maintenance management system that was web based. And I needed a number of data sets to use for this project. And accessing the data was really, really difficult. Like I had to go in person to a number of offices within the country to look for data, um, and basically um, in a number of cases, I went to some of these offices and was not successful. So that just sparked an interest in like what's actually publicly available and what's open data, and how can we grow like an open data ecosystem, not just in the country but globally. And even looking back in the country, there are a number of cases or where the government used to make decisions, and basically the decisions are not guided in any way. And the reason that you would get was that they lacked the data for use. So basically it was just seeing a gap that exists and trying to see as an individual and even as a community, how can we make data more accessible and available. And from that, I really got interested in OpenStreetMap, which is a platform that allows for the creation of open geospatial data, and anyone can add to the map. Anyone can create an account on OpenStreetMap. You don't have to be a geospatial expert or have a GS background to be able to contribute. And at that time, there were a number of organizations that were are working within the OpenStreetMap space in Kenya and in the region and also globally. So we got a chance to like create an OSM community here in Kenya. So basically, just a community where we can advocate for the creation of this data, and we can also like bring all those who are interested together. Who are interested in like open mapping together, because obviously anyone can contribute to the map, but as a community together, we are able to do much more, and we are also able to sort of do it in a way that's, I'd say, sustainable. So we are not just contributing to the map, but it's actually good quality data. And you're not also just contributing, but we are also able to show and share how this data could be used. So yeah, when it comes to open data, it's just something that I'm really interested in, just because I can see the gap that exists. In as much as we have made a lot of progress in making data available, in collecting data, even the methods in which you can collect data, they've become very innovative, but there's still a lot of places that have not been mapped. There's still a huge need for data. And as part of the open data space, as I shared, like this is something that I started getting interested in while I was in university. So I learned about a network called YouthMappers, which is basically a network of student-led clubs. And these clubs are for students who are interested in open mapping, sustainable development, and youth leadership. So, and at that time, I was also basically generally looking for opportunities for students, because you see, as a student, yes, you are sort of um, learning and schooling from say 8 to 5, but there's always that time that you can use it for something that's more impactful. So we already had a students club in the university at that point, where we could meet and like basically teach each other. So we had like people sharing about different softwares. We also had speakers from time to time. So we just affiliated the club to the network, so that as part of our activities, then we get a chance to work on open mapping initiatives, such as contributing to OpenStreetMap. Yeah, so that's how I really also like got a chance to really grow my skills on open mapping and OpenStreetMap. And just being part of the Youth Mappers network also like grew that opportunity to join the regional OSM Africa community and even the global OSM community. Yeah.
Okay, and you mentioned the fact that being a youth mapper helped you to project into the OSM community,
Mhm.
and I know you're also involved in FOSS4G activities. What do you do with FOSS4G? Because FOSS4G is something that's really recurring in this podcast. So, what are the activities that you do with FOSS4G, and how did you get involved?
Yeah. So luckily, when it comes to FOSS4G, like generally, free and open source software in the geospatial space. Luckily, it's a concept that I got to learn also when in school, but also it was very important to because mostly I think for a lot of university students, you get a chance to work with ArcGIS and the ArcGIS suite in general, which is amazing. But again, there's still that gap that exists in terms of who can procure this software. I guess also for almost all the organizations that I got a chance to work with, none was able to procure this software. So meaning there's also like a huge need to advocate and tell people that not having a license for proprietary options does not mean that you cannot use GIS. There are also free and open source options that you can actually use for your work, even for your research as a student. And it being free and open does not mean that it's any less. At first, I guess for me, it was just knowing of the options that are available, and also understanding that even when joining the industry, I might actually end up using a lot more of free and open source options. But also, it now got to a point where it was more about educating and letting others learn about all these options and what's available and what they can do with it. Initially, I was not part of the FOSS4G community. I actually didn't know there was a community. I only knew about OSGeo as like as a foundation that houses all these things. Like it houses the key GIS, gross GIS, GDAL, and everything. But I actually didn't know like there's a very huge community behind it that like drives for the contribution, drives for the advocacy. So how I got to learn about the community was in 2018. I think the Global Phosphagy Conference was in Tanzania, which I guess is very close to Kenya. So it only made sense to try and attend that. And that's why I got a chance to meet like the global phosphagy community, very amazing people who are like very interested in like helping people out um, in a way or the other. So from that, I got a chance to like interact with a number of people, like developers for some of the different softwares, and also a number of the working groups that exist. Um, and then what happened is that I got nominated again, but at least at this point, I knew who nominated me to become a charter member of the OSGeo Foundation. Basically, charter members participate in working groups and also are able to contribute when it comes to voting in like the board for the foundation and such things. And through that, I also got a chance to join the OSGeo marketing working group, which is basically the working group that's in charge of all the social media channels and also things like the website. So basically, like a number of the digital platforms that represent the foundation. And in that, I just get a chance to contribute in that way. I'm very, I don't know, I'm also like very interested in when it comes to communications and digital platforms and social media. So it's something that I do enjoy doing. And I guess that's mostly my involvement with that. After the conference, we also tried to create an OSGeo Africa community. It is there, it exists, but just not as much activities at the moment. Yeah, but I guess it's also something that's really in the works. Yeah.
I guess it's my first time also hearing about the OSGO Africa community, and I'm sure it's something, since it's a regional community. It's something that I think every geospatial analyst or geospatial person in Africa should be involved in as well. At least if they are focused or if they are also
Yeah.
interested in free and open source software for geospatial. It's amazing what you're doing with because you've been so like so many platforms representing Phosphor-G. I think you should even be like an ambassador for Phosphor-G in Africa, if you don't mind me saying.
Yeah, a chance to advocate for for phosphagy and its use. It's something that I wouldn't mind. And I guess it's something that also all of us get a chance to share, and it's on like a voluntary basis. So we're actually all ambassadors in one way or another.
Of course, yes, of course. Apart from everything Phosphor-G and OSM, are there other aspects of geospatial that you like to explore? Like other parts that you think or that you're just curious about that you might like to explore later?
Yeah. So at the moment, when it comes to like geospatial and the web, it's something that I feel like I do at a very basic level. So I'm really interested and looking forward to build my muscle in that space. So how do we get a lot more sort of solutions and maps on the web, and how do we interact with that? I think there are already a number of very many platforms that exist that allow us to do all this. But yeah, on my end, I'd just like to really build on that and see what more could be done in that space. I'm really interested in the intersection of web solutions and how we can make them offline, and having all these solutions being map based or GIS based. And obviously, not just making them GIS based, but actually, if it's needed and necessary. So that's something that I am interested in. The other thing would be on storytelling. Um, it's also just something that I'm really interested in, and I'm always excited about to see the stories that we can tell through maps. Basically, it's also just trying to see how I can improve on that and how I can use that as well to even show a lot of concepts that are difficult to explain. And lastly, I recently, would I say really recently, but I'd say for the last maybe few years, I've gotten a chance to work on the like in the intersection of data and gender. So basically, what you can call data feminism. So also just looking at how maps intersect with that, and how we can actually use maps and tech in general to advocate for gender equality, and not just even gender equality, but equality in general and different aspects. It's something that I've just explored and I've been able to carry out like maybe a project or two on the same. But hopefully, it's also something that I can build on and improve on and sort of use in future.
Yeah, and that goes, it just goes to show how truly dynamic and universal geospatial technologies are, because you mentioned a number of industries here, and that's one thing that we always try to analyze and explore on this podcast, the fact that geospatial technologies are truly universal, can be applied to any and everything. And thank you for expertly putting that together. So moving on to the tail end of the interview now, a lot of people believe that as an early career professional, one needs a mentor. I am one of such people, and mentorship is really important to me. What are your thoughts on mentoring and mentorship in general?
Yeah. Personally, I've not had a chance to to be in sort of a structured mentorship interaction with someone. Um, but I do acknowledge and accept, just as you've shared, that mentorship is really, really important. And not just for early career professionals, but also for any professional in the industry. It's just because the times when even when you finish school, or if you're switching careers and joining a new industry, I think it is possible for you to survive as an individual and like getting a chance like to work hard and push through things yourself. But it can be a lot easier when you have someone who can basically guide you in one way or another. Because at times also, I think a lot of people tend to assume that mentorship is just um, like someone showing you the ropes about an industry, and like probably mentioning you in rooms where your name needs to be mentioned. But I think that different types of mentorship, it can be technical, uh, it can be non-technical, where you're guided just about career progression, the options, and all that. So, depending on what someone really needs at the moment, then mentorship can be really key in making things a little bit easier uh, for someone, and like getting that guidance that can help you to even make decisions as you progress. Um, so for me, I do always encourage people to, if you see someone in the industry who's able to guide you in one way or another, then it is important that you reach out if possible, and request for that, um, and also taking advantage of like the mentorship programs that exist. The good thing is that I guess in the last 2 years, there's been a number of communities that have come up with mentorship programs. I think a lot of us know about the Women in Geospatial Plus mentorship program, which pairs mentors to mentees. There's also the African Women in GIS one. I think there's also a new one by Geo Latinos as well. So that also um, brings that opportunity for you to get a mentor, I'd say, easily, as opposed to sort of reaching out to people on social media or maybe other platforms, the platforms that exist asking for this kind of mentorship. I guess for a lot of early career professionals, it can be scary to do that. So taking advantages of these programs is really important and something that I really recommend. But other than that, I guess also thinking just about mentorship. As an early career professional as well, I've also gotten a chance to interact with students and a number of people seeking mentorship. But I guess something that I've just noticed is like being able to know what you want out of it. Um, and not saying that all everything has to be stated out, but at least being able to know at the end of this mentorship sort of interaction, like what do I want out of it? And even as I was sharing earlier, like knowing like the kind of sort of support that you need. If it's technical, then my mentor also needs to be probably sort of well versed in what I'm seeking. So if I'm uh, interested in getting into JS programming, like is this person a developer, or have they had a chance to work in this space? So at times also just making sure that you know what you need to get out of it. Is also key. And then the last thing would also be, as a person working in the GIS space, to get a chance to, I guess, interact with a number of other tech communities. So maybe at times you find out that you've missed maybe on some of the programs, and most of these programs run once a year. You can also just look into the tech sector. So there are also a number of other communities. So, for example, like Women in Analytics, um, and all this other very many tech communities that exist. So your mentor does not also necessarily have to be from the GIS community. Your mentor can come from the general tech community, and you can also now leverage all these other programs that exist as well in the general tech community. Yeah.
That's awesome. And one thing that I really took out of that is the fact that mentors look to something in the mentee, and it's important that mentors and
Hmm.
mentees align on the fact on a particular goal and they set it out right. And it's safe to say that it's easier today to be an early career or early career person in the geospatial industry because, like you said, there are so many mentorship
Hmm.
opportunities out there and they're all free and very accessible. Yes, so that's a very good point to note. Um, what advice would you give to somebody who is looking to start a career in geospatial now, like currently, apart from mentorship and all? What advice do you think you
Hmm.
would give to such a person?
Yeah. From my end, I usually say having an open mind and trusting in your ability, like to be able to sort of explore all the opportunities that are available. I think at times when a lot of people are joining the geospatial industry, either as people who are graduating from uni or those who are transitioning, we tend, when you're looking probably, say, for example, for job opportunities, we tend to look for traditional roles. So, say, for example, being having an undergrad in geospatial engineering, wanting to be a geospatial engineer and like wanting a title that says geospatial engineer, or being interested in GIS and wanting to be a GIS officer, a GIS analyst. GIS, what's the other option? Specialist. All these are good, but when you tend to sort of look at only this, you tend to lock all the other opportunities that exist. So yeah, for me, all this, I would say have an open mind, have an idea of what you're interested in. So, say for example, in my case, I'm interested in data and development. So I would look at the development sector as a whole, which intersects very many sectors, like from, for example, where I work in sanitation, agriculture, and going can end up being in the humanitarian space and all these other things. And within that, there's so many options that are available. Yeah. So yeah, my advice is to have an open mind. Do not lock in. Do not lock yourself by only focusing on traditional roles and traditional sectors. Um, and you can be a specialist, meaning you can focus on one aspect in the GIS space. Yeah, yeah, you can say that GIS analysis is just your thing and like build that muscle and really be good at it. You can say remote sensing is really a thing and like focus on that and uh, like be a specialist in that area. But you can also be a generalist. So uh, you can be good in GIS analytics, be good in remote sensing, be good in GIS programming and web mapping. So you can basically you can be you can be anything. That would be my advice, just because it's something that I get to see, and maybe now move shift the focus from focusing on roles and like the technical aspect of it, and looking at sectors and how you can actually um, sort of work as a GS person in a specific sector or even in several sectors around the world, because there's really a lot that we can do with GIS, and there's really a lot of impact that GIS can sort of build, and a lot of solutions that can be provided through GIS. So yeah, there's a lot that we can do, and that can only be done if we have people extending their wings and getting into it. Yeah, that's what I would advise anyone looking to start.
Awesome advice, Laura. Thank you so much for being here with us. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you've had as amazing a time as I have bringing this to you. If you did, remember to subscribe on any platform you get your podcast from so you get notified every time a new episode drops. Also, we love to hear from you, so if you have any comments, requests, or suggestions, shoot us an email at gspecially@gmail.com or reach out to us on Twitter at Geospatially. We are also on LinkedIn as Geospatially Africa Podcast. We'll look forward to hearing from you, and thank you so much for joining us for today's episode. Bye!
And now in the news. Right, so we're going to talk about the events that happened. What we do is happening this week in the special industry and the future events that we are having, and some interesting things that are actually also going on. Last month, October, was really interesting as well. We had World Space Week, celebrating space, and I think it was really interesting. Why it's really important for us as well in the geospatial space is because some of the data we use for our analysis are gotten from space, right? We're talking about the remotely sensed data set that we use. Also, importantly, is the satellite constellation that are being beaming down data to our devices, GPS, GNSS, basically the different satellite constellations. I think this is really interesting. I'm sure a lot of folks in the geospatial space celebrated this alongside others, and I think it's really interesting. Another thing what you've mentioned is that November is the mapping month. Yeah, so we have the 30 days mapping challenge. This it's really interesting because it allows us to kind of dive into the world of cartography. Making maps for the 30 days that makes up November. So what happens is that every day has a different theme. So the one was about points, the two was lines, the three was polygons. So basically, just trying to map these different phenomena or using these different themes. And I think it's really interesting. You're seeing a lot of creative work on Twitter, on LinkedIn. I think it's really interesting to see these maps. They're really inspiring, and you can see people being creative about map making. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of pictures. We're tweeting them. So you can head over to Twitter to check them out for yourself. So the hashtag is used for this challenge is 30-day map challenge, and you can also see the pictures of the official category flying around on Twitter as well. So if you're taking part in that, well done. Give us a shout out. We would like to see what you've done, and we would definitely share that to our listeners as well. This week was the GIS week. Our GIS day is actually on the 17th. There was a lot of events happening across the week. So I'm absolutely sure that you had a very mappy week. Yeah, that's the saying, a very mappy week. I'm sure you attended a lot of events. We, on our part, attended some events. It was really interesting to see how people are using special technology in different areas, be it for disaster, be it for development, city development, or be it for different things that people are actually using it for. So this talk's really interesting because you could see and learn about how people are using the technology and using the skills to make interesting, not just maps, but interesting solutions. And I think that was really interesting. Also, this week was the PostGIS day. For those of us who are using PostGIS extension for a special database, I think that was really good. A lot of people probably don't know that there's a PostGIS day. That is always on the 19th of November. So that was interesting. I was personally able to attend the Zoom conference. So it was held virtually this year, and I was able to catch a few talks. I think it was really interesting to see how people are using this extension to store data and display different geographic data. So up next is Settled Map Africa. So we've been talking about this for a while now. The previous episode, we actually had an episode with Geoffrey talking about what to expect and what to look out for. The event is finally here, and a lot of people attending, and it's really great. I attended the first day, and it was really amazing. So you should be looking out for an episode with some of the speakers. We're gonna have them to talk about some of the work they're doing, some of the things they presented in the State of the Map Africa. So if you missed that, stay tuned for a conversation with a couple of them. I believe it's going to be interesting as well. So we're going to add the link to the previous episode on Set of Map Africa. So if you missed that, you can check it out. But still look forward to the new ones that are coming. So another conference that's happening in November is the Hot Summit. This is another really interesting one. Hot plays a very important role in the open mapping community, and they're doing great work. We also talked about base conference previously, that it was going to happen when there was call for papers and call for talks and presentations. So the Hot Summit is happening on the 22nd of November. It is also going to be a virtual summit, with this, because of the period we are, so everything is going virtual now. So the theme for this year's summit is the evolution of local humanitarian open mapping ecosystems, understanding community, collaboration, and contribution. I think that's going to be interesting to get to hear about how the mapping community has evolved, because it's important for communities to thrive and to collaborate more. So I think this is going to be interesting to learn about how to build our own local communities and how people have also built theirs around just spatial or around open mapping. I think that's going to be an interesting one, so stay tuned for that. The date is November 22nd, 2021. Okay, so now we're going to talk about opportunities in the geospatial world. So the African Data and Drone Academy has opened up application to the different category of training they have for this year. So if you're interested in that, and you would want to learn something interesting, you might want to apply to these different categories of training that they have. We talked about these in an episode where we had Sharon Moja on. She benefited from this training, and I think if you're interested in it, you can be a part of that. We're going to add the link about this on the show notes. So the different categories that you might be interested in. So they have, I think, up to like 5 different categories. So, for example, they have the remotely piloted aircraft technology, which if you're interested in drone, you might want to apply to that. They also have the data visualization and cartography. So this will teach you how to visualize data and how to do some mapping. So there are also there are 3 that I have mentioned. So if you go to the website, you could pick the one that you're interested in and be a part of that. All right, so that wraps it up. Stay tuned for next episode's news. Thank you for staying to the end and being a part of this week's episode. Do remember to subscribe, follow us on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and we are always happy to hear from you. Thank you for your support and have a very mappy month.